The smoke still rose from the broken buildings of New Geneva. Staff Sergeant Marcus Chen moved carefully through the rubble, his rifle ready. Behind him, 3 soldiers followed in silence. The war had been going on for 3 years now, and Marcus had seen too many friends die fighting the Zephyrians. "Sir, we should head back," whispered Private Torres. "This place gives me the creeps." Marcus held up his hand for quiet. Something was wrong. The air smelled of burned metal and something else. Something sweet and strange. He had learned to trust his nose in this war. It had kept him alive when others died. They rounded a corner and saw it. A Zephyrian ship had crashed into what used to be a school. The metal was twisted and black. Steam came up from the wreck. Marcus had seen many crashed enemy ships, but this one was different. It was smaller. The design was wrong for a warship. "It's a transport," said Corporal Kim. "Civilian, maybe." "Civilians don't fly in war zones," Torres replied. Marcus studied the wreck. The Zephyrians were tall, thin aliens with blue-gray skin and large eyes. Command said they were monsters who wanted to kill all humans. But Marcus had started to wonder about that. He had found Zephyrian bodies that looked scared, not angry. Some had been holding strange objects that might have been family photos. A sound came from the ship, a low, sad noise that made Marcus's chest feel tight. It was not the sound of metal cooling down. It was something alive. "Then stay here," Marcus told his team. "Cover me." He moved toward the ship. The hull had a hole torn in its side. Inside he could see movement. Marcus turned on his helmet light and looked in. What he saw made him stop breathing for a moment. A Zephyrian female lay on the floor. Her chest rose and fell in short, quick movements. Green liquid that must have been blood pooled around her. But she was not alone. Next to her, a small Zephyrian pressed against her side. It was tiny, maybe the size of a human child. The female Zephyrian saw Marcus. Her large dark eyes focused on him. She should have been afraid. She should have tried to attack. Instead, she made a soft sound and pointed at the small one beside her. Marcus understood. Even without words, he knew what she was asking. The female was dying. Marcus had seen enough death to know. But she was not thinking about herself. She was thinking about the little one. The child. Marcus lowered his rifle. He took a step into the ship. The female watched him. Her breathing got worse. She moved her hand to the child and then pointed at Marcus again. The meaning was clear. "Please, save my child." The child looked up at Marcus with huge, scared eyes. It made a small noise like a frightened animal. But it did not run away. Marcus heard boots behind him. "Sir, we need to move. Enemy patrol coming in fast." He looked at the child again. Command said all Zephyrians were enemies. "Kill them all!" No exceptions. That was the order. But this was a child. A scared, hurt child whose mother was dying. Marcus made his choice. He put down his rifle and reached for the child. The little Zephyrian shrank back at first. But its mother made another soft sound. The child looked at her, then back at Marcus. Slowly, the child reached out a small 3-fingered hand. Marcus lifted the child carefully. It was lighter than he expected. Its skin felt warm and smooth. The child wrapped its arms around Marcus's neck and held on tight. The female Zephyrian looked at Marcus one last time. Her eyes seemed to say thank you. Then she closed them and was still. "Sir," Torres called from outside. "They're almost here." Marcus turned to leave, but the child made a crying sound. It pointed back at its mother. Marcus understood. The child did not want to leave her. "I'm sorry," Marcus whispered. "We have to go." He carried the child out of the ship. His team stared at him with wide eyes. "Sir, what are you doing?" Kim asked. "What's right?" Marcus said. The sound of enemy vehicles grew louder. Marcus's team looked around nervously. "Sir, we can't take it with us," Torres said. Command will do what I tell them," Marcus said firmly. "This is a child. We don't kill children." But as they started to move, Zephyrian soldiers appeared from behind the broken buildings. Their weapons were raised. Marcus's team raised their rifles too. "Down!" Marcus shouted. Energy blasts flew over their heads. Marcus dove behind a fallen wall, still holding the child. The little Zephyrian was shaking with fear. "It's okay," Marcus said softly. "I won't let them hurt you." More energy blasts hit the wall. Pieces of stone flew everywhere. One blast came close to Marcus's head. He turned his body to shield the child. The battle was fierce. Marcus's team was good, but they were outnumbered. One blast hit Torres in the shoulder. He fell with a cry of pain. Marcus looked at the child in his arms. Those big dark eyes stared up at him with trust. The child believed Marcus would protect it. Marcus could not let that trust be broken. Another blast came toward them. Marcus threw himself over the child, covering its small body with his own. The energy bolt hit him in the back. Pain shot through his body like fire. His armor was good, but not perfect, sir, Kim shouted. More blasts hit Marcus. One burned across his shoulder. Another hit his leg, but he did not move away from the child. He kept his body between the child and the weapons. The world started to go dark around the edges. Marcus felt the child's small hands holding on to him. He heard its frightened breathing. He had to stay awake. He had to protect this child. Evac now. Kim was calling into his radio. We need pickup now. The sound of human ships filled the air. Return fire from above scattered the Zephyrian soldiers. Marcus felt hands pulling at him. Sir, we have to move. But Marcus could not feel his legs anymore. The pain in his back was getting worse. He looked down at the child. It was looking up at him with those trusting eyes. Take care of it, Marcus whispered to Kim. Promise me. Sir, you're going to be fine. Just hold on. Marcus felt himself being lifted. The child was still in his arms, still holding on. As the world went black, Marcus felt proud. He had made the right choice. Whatever happened next, he had saved a child. That mattered more than any war. The last thing he heard was the child making soft, sad sounds. But it was safe. That was what mattered. Later, people would ask Marcus why he risked everything for an enemy child. He would tell them it was simple. When you see a scared child, you help them. It does not matter what they look like or where they come from. Being human means protecting those who cannot protect themselves. That day in the ruins of New Geneva, Marcus Chen showed what it really meant to be human. And the small Zephyrian child he saved would never forget the man who chose love over hate, protection over orders, and right over wrong. Marcus woke up slowly. His back hurt badly. The ceiling above him was white and clean. Medical lights. He was in a hospital bed. He tried to sit up, but pain shot through his shoulder. A gentle hand pushed him back down. Easy there, soldier. You've been hurt pretty bad. Marcus turned his head. A woman in a doctor's coat stood beside his bed. She had kind eyes and graying hair. I'm Dr. Sarah Kovac, she said. You're on medical station Hippocrates. You've been unconscious for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Marcus tried to remember. The crashed ship. The dying mother. The child, Marcus said, his voice rough. Where is the child? Dr. Kovac smiled. Right there. Marcus looked to his left. In a chair beside his bed, the small Zephyrian sat curled up. It was still small, still had those big dark eyes. But it looked healthier now. Someone had given it clean clothes. When the child saw Marcus was awake, it made a happy sound. It climbed carefully onto the bed and settled next to Marcus's good arm. It hasn't left your side, Dr. Kovac said. We've tried moving it to another room, but it gets very upset. It only calms down when it can see you. Marcus looked at the child. It looked back at him with those trusting eyes. It made a soft sound and touched Marcus's hand with its small fingers. What's its name? Marcus asked. We don't know. It doesn't speak much of our language yet. The medical staff calls it Echo because it tries to repeat sounds we make. Echo, Marcus liked that name. He touched the child's head gently. Echo leaned into his touch like a cat seeking warmth. Sir, Dr. Kovac said, I need to tell you something. This child's people form very strong bonds with those who save them. In human terms, Echo thinks of you as its parent now. Marcus felt something warm in his chest. Parent? Yes, and there's more. Echo's biology requires emotional connection to survive trauma. Without you nearby, the child becomes very sick. We almost lost it twice when we tried to separate you. Marcus looked at Echo again. The child had wrapped its small hand around his finger. Such a simple thing, but it felt important. The military wants to talk to Echo, Dr. Kovac continued. They think it might have useful information about Zephyrian tactics. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. It's a child, I know. I've been fighting them on this. But they're getting impatient. A door opened. A tall man in a military uniform walked in. His face was hard and cold. Marcus knew the type. He had served under officers like this before. Sergeant Chen, the man said. I'm Colonel Morrison. We need to talk. Echo made a frightened sound and pressed closer to Marcus. The child seemed to sense danger. About what, sir? Marcus asked. About your prisoner. Echo is not a prisoner. Echo is a child. Colonel Morrison's eyes narrowed. It's a Zephyrian. The enemy. And you're going to help us get information from it. No, sir. I won't. The colonel stepped closer. That wasn't a request, Sergeant. Marcus sat up straighter, ignoring the pain in his back. Echo climbed into his lap, still scared. With respect, sir, I won't let you hurt a child. Any child. This isn't about hurting anyone. We just need information. Dr. Kovac spoke up. Colonel, interrogating Echo could cause serious psychological damage. The child has already been through severe trauma. Doctor, this is a military matter. Marcus looked down at Echo. The child was shaking slightly. Its big eyes looked up at Marcus with complete trust. Marcus remembered the child's mother pointing at her baby with her dying breath. She had trusted Marcus to protect her child. Sir, Marcus said carefully, I've been learning some of Echo's language. Maybe I can help translate, but only if Echo wants to talk. Colonel Morrison looked suspicious. You can speak Zephyrian? A little. Echo has been teaching me this was true. Over the past few days, as Marcus drifted in and out of consciousness, Echo had been making sounds and pointing at things: water, food, pain, happy, simple words. But it was a start. Echo looked up at Marcus and made a soft sound. Marcus had heard this sound before. It meant safe or protected. Echo, Marcus said slowly in the child's language, the man wants to know about your people, but you don't have to say anything you don't want to. Echo listened carefully. Then it looked at Colonel Morrison with those big, serious eyes. It spoke in its own language with Marcus translating. Echo says the war is wrong, Marcus said. Both sides are fighting, but there's something else. Something worse coming. Colonel Morrison leaned forward. What does that mean? Echo spoke again, longer this time. Its voice got scared when it mentioned something called void touched. Marcus translated as best he could. Echo's people aren't trying to take our worlds. They're running away from something that destroys planets. That's impossible, Morrison said. But Echo was not finished. It showed them something amazing. The child held up its small hands and light appeared between its fingers. The light formed shapes. Images. Marcus saw huge, dark ships that looked like nothing he had ever seen. They were not built by any living thing. They moved through space like hungry animals, consuming everything in their path. The void touched. Marcus whispered. Echo nodded sadly. It showed them more images. Worlds turned to ash, ships fleeing in panic, families torn apart. Echo's people came to human space because they had nowhere else to go, Marcus said. But we started shooting first. Colonel Morrison stared at the light images. His face had gone pale. This can't be real, he said. Echo made another sound. This time it sounded like crying. The child showed them one more image. It was Echo's mother pointing at her child, begging Marcus to save it. Marcus felt tears in his own eyes. He pulled Echo close. It's okay, he whispered. You're safe now. Dr. Kovac was also crying. Even Colonel Morrison looked shaken. We need to report this, Morrison said quietly. Yes, sir, Marcus agreed. But Echo stays with me. Morrison looked at the child clinging to Marcus. He seemed to understand something he had not seen before. Agreed, Sergeant. For now. After Morrison left, Dr. Kovac sat down beside the bed. That was brave, she said. Marcus looked at Echo, who had fallen asleep against his chest. The child looked so small and peaceful. Echo's brave too, Marcus said, telling us about the real enemy, trusting us even after everything that's happened. What will you do now? Marcus thought about it. He looked at Echo sleeping safely in his arms. He thought about the child's mother who had trusted him with her most precious thing. I'll protect Echo, Marcus said, whatever it takes. Outside the medical station, space was dark and full of stars. Somewhere out there, the real enemy was coming. But in this small room, a human soldier and an alien child had found something worth fighting for. Family. The transfer orders came 3 weeks later. Marcus was packing his few belongings when Dr. Kovac entered his room. Her face looked worried. They're moving you again, she said. 3rd time this month. Marcus folded his spare uniform carefully. Echo sat on the bed watching with curious eyes. The child had learned more human words and could now say Marcus and safe and home. Where this time? Marcus asked. Base Station Omega, maximum security facility. Marcus stopped packing. Omega was not a medical station. It was a place where they kept dangerous prisoners and conducted secret experiments. Why? Dr. Kovac sat down heavily. Because word is spreading about you and Echo. Both sides know what happened. She was right. Marcus had heard the rumors. Human soldiers called him a traitor who saved an enemy child, but some called him a hero who showed mercy. The stories had grown bigger with each telling. Among the Zephyrians, the stories were different. They called Marcus Kethvar Numa. Dr. Kovac had found a translation. It meant honor-bound protector. The Zephyrian military had put out messages calling for his safety. They want to use Echo as a weapon, Dr. Kovac continued. General Harrison thinks the child can help decode Zephyrian communications. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. Echo is not a weapon. Echo is a child. Echo looked up at Marcus. The child could sense his emotions now. It reached out and touched Marcus's hand, making a soft, comforting sound. I know, Dr. Kovac said. That's why I'm warning you. Harrison doesn't care about Echo's well-being. He only cares about winning the war. Marcus finished packing. He picked up Echo, who wrapped its arms around his neck. The child had grown some in the past months, but was still small enough to carry. Then we'll be careful, Marcus said. The transport to Omega Station was supposed to be routine. Marcus and Echo sat in the passenger section with 4 armed guards. The guards watched them closely but said nothing. Halfway to Omega, the ship's alarm started screaming. Zephyrian fighters incoming, the pilot shouted over the comm system. The guards raised their weapons, looking nervous. Marcus held Echo closer. The child was scared but tried to be brave. The ship shook as enemy fire hit the hull. Marcus looked out the small window. 3 Zephyrian fighters moved with deadly grace around their transport. But something was wrong. The fighters were not trying to destroy the ship. They were forcing it to change course. They want us to follow them, one guard said. Like hell, another replied. More shots hit the ship, but still not critical damage. It was clear the Zephyrians wanted the ship intact. Echo suddenly made excited sounds. It pointed out the window at the lead fighter. The child seemed to recognize something. What is it? Marcus asked in Echo's language. Echo spoke quickly, using words Marcus was still learning. But he understood enough. Family, mother, alive. Marcus felt his heart pound. Echo's mother is alive? Echo nodded eagerly, still pointing at the fighters. The transport pilot's voice came over the comm again. They're demanding we follow them to a neutral station. If we don't comply, they'll disable our engines. One of the guards, Sergeant Wells, looked at Marcus suspiciously. How do they know we're on this ship? Marcus did not answer, but he was thinking the same thing. Someone had told the Zephyrians about the transfer. Someone who wanted Echo back. The ship changed course. An hour later, they docked at Crossroads Station, a trading post in neutral space. Both humans and Zephyrians used it for business, with strict rules about no fighting. As they left the ship, Marcus saw her immediately. The Zephyrian female was tall and graceful, with the same dark eyes as Echo. She wore what looked like military clothing, but her weapons were lowered. She stared at Marcus and Echo with an expression he could not read. Echo made a joyful sound and reached toward the female. Veltara, the child called. So this was Echo's mother. Veltara. She had survived the crash somehow. Veltara approached slowly. The guards raised their weapons, but Marcus held up his hand. Wait, he said. Veltara stopped a few feet away. She looked at Marcus for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She knelt down and touched her forehead to the ground in front of him. What's she doing? Wells asked. Echo spoke to Marcus in its language, explaining quickly. Marcus's limited understanding caught the important parts. She's thanking me, Marcus said, for saving Echo. Veltara stood up. She spoke to Echo in rapid Zephyrian. The child answered, pointing at Marcus and making happy sounds. Then Veltara spoke to Marcus directly. Her words were in broken human speech, but clear enough. You protect, my child. You give life for Echo. Marcus nodded. Echo is special. Any parent would protect their child. Veltara's eyes widened. She spoke again to Echo, who translated for Marcus. She says you are not just protector now, Marcus said slowly, working out the meaning. You are a family, Echo's second parent. Wells stepped forward. Sir, we need to go. Orders are to deliver you to Omega. But Veltara moved to block their path. Other Zephyrians appeared from around the station. They were armed but not threatening. Yet Veltara spoke again, this time more forcefully. Echo translated, speaking in human words it had learned. Mama says Marcus is family now. Zephyrian law? Cannot take family apart. That's not how this works, Wells said. He's human military. The kid is a prisoner. Echo is not prisoner, Veltara said in her broken human speech. Echo is child. Marcus is parent. Law says family stay together. Marcus found himself in an impossible situation. His duty said he should follow orders and go to Omega. But looking at Echo and Veltara, he realized something important. This war had started because both sides were afraid and did not understand each other. But here was a chance to change that. Echo had become a bridge between the species, and somehow Marcus had become part of that bridge too. Wells, Marcus said quietly, what if there was another way? Sir? What if instead of keeping Echo as a prisoner, we tried to use this situation to end the war? Wells looked confused. How? Marcus looked at Veltara. She escaped from our prison to find her child. That takes courage, and she could have attacked us, but she didn't. She just wants her family back. Echo spoke up again, this time in human words. Void touched coming soon? Both sides need to work together. Veltara nodded seriously. She spoke to Marcus again, and Echo translated. She says the dark ships are only 2 years away, maybe less. If humans and Zephyrians keep fighting, both species will die. Marcus made his decision. Wells, contact command. Tell them I'm staying here to negotiate. Sir, that's not... Tell them Sergeant Chen is opening diplomatic channels with the enemy. If they want Echo's cooperation, they'll get more by working with Echo's family than by keeping the child prisoner. Wells looked uncertain, but he activated his communicator. As they waited for a response, Marcus sat down with Echo and Veltara. The child sat between them, holding both their hands. For the first time since the war began, a human and a Zephyrian adult talked to each other as equals. Not as enemies, but as parents who both loved the same child. It was a small beginning. But Marcus knew that the biggest changes often started with the smallest steps. Outside Crossroads Station, the war continued. Ships fought and died in the darkness of space, but inside the station, 3 unlikely family members began planning how to save both their species from something far worse than each other. The hunt for Marcus and Echo had led to something neither side expected. Hope. The conference room on Crossroads Station was tense. Representatives from both the Human Federation and the Zephyrian Empire sat at opposite ends of a long table. Armed guards stood along the walls. Everyone looked ready for a fight. Marcus sat between Veltara and Echo. The child held both their hands, looking nervous but trying to be brave. 3 weeks had passed since their meeting on the station, and now the real talks were beginning. General Harrison sat across from them. His face was hard as stone. Sergeant Chen, he said, you have disobeyed direct orders. That makes you a traitor. Sir, Marcus replied calmly. I followed the most important order of all. Protect innocent life. A Zephyrian commander named Kesatel spoke next. Its voice was like music, but Marcus could hear the anger underneath. The human speaks of protection while his people kill our children. Your people started this war, Harrison shot back. You attacked our colonies. Marcus felt Echo's small hand squeeze his fingers. The child was scared by all the angry voices. Marcus squeezed back gently. Actually, Marcus said, I think we're all wrong about how this started. Everyone looked at him. Marcus took a deep breath. This was the moment that mattered. Echo has been teaching me about the void touched. Show them, Echo. The child looked up at Marcus, then at its mother. Veltara nodded encouragingly. Echo held up its small hands, and light appeared between its fingers. The images that formed made everyone in the room go silent. Dark ships moved through space like hungry shadows. They were not built by any living species. Where they passed, planets turned to ash and dust. Entire solar systems went dark. This is what the Zephyrians are running from, Marcus said. Not because they want our worlds, but because they have no choice. Veltara spoke in her own language. Echo translated into human words. Mama says her people sent messages to humans asking for help, but humans shot first and asked questions later. General Harrison leaned forward. That's impossible. We never received any messages. Echo showed them another image. Zephyrian ships sending communication signals toward human space. The signals were strange, not in any human language. Different species, different technology, Marcus said. Your messages probably looked like weapons scanning to our people. So we attacked. Commander Kestel made a sound like a sigh. It spoke and Echo translated again. Kestal says both sides made mistakes, but now the void touched are coming, and fighting each other just makes it easier for them to destroy everyone. General Harrison stared at the light images. His face had gone pale. How long do we have? Echo spoke to its mother in Zephyrian. Veltara answered, her voice worried. Less than 2 years, Echo said. Maybe only 18 months. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. Not enough time to prepare if they kept fighting each other. General Harrison looked at Marcus with new respect. What do you suggest, Sergeant? Before Marcus could answer, Veltara stood up. She spoke in clear human words, though her accent was thick. I claim Marcus Chen as family. Everyone stared at her. General Harrison looked confused. What does that mean? Echo explained excitedly. In Zephyrian law, when someone saves a child's life and becomes their protector, they become family. Marcus is my second parent now. Veltara continued speaking. Echo translated her longer words. She says Marcus showed honor by protecting me even when I was supposed to be his enemy. That makes him Kethvar Zuma, a protector of both kinds. Both kinds? Harrison asked. Both species, Marcus said, understanding now. She's not trying to take Echo away from me. She wants to make me part of their family officially. Veltara nodded. She spoke again, and Echo's translation made Marcus's heart warm. She says Marcus proved that humans can choose love over hate. That makes him worthy to be Echo's parent and her partner in protecting our child. Commander Kessatel spoke up, sounding surprised. Even with Echo translating, Marcus could hear the respect in its voice. Kestal says this is very rare, Echo said. Only a few times in Zephyrian history has someone from another species been accepted as family. General Harrison looked from Marcus to Veltara to Echo. And if we accept this family arrangement, what then? Veltara and Marcus looked at each other. Without words, they both understood what needed to happen. We work together, Marcus said. Echo can help both our species understand each other, and we share everything we know about the void touched. The child becomes our translator, Harrison said slowly. No, Marcus said firmly. Echo becomes our bridge. There's a difference, Echo spoke up in its own voice. I want to help, but I stay with Marcus and Mama. We're family now. Veltara touched Marcus's shoulder gently. She spoke to him directly in broken human words. She's asking if I accept the family bond, Marcus said, understanding her meaning. Marcus looked at Echo, who was watching him with those big, trusting eyes. He thought about the child's real mother, dying in the crashed ship, trusting him to protect her baby. He thought about Veltara, who had risked everything to find her child. Yes, Marcus said. I accept, Veltara smiled. It was the first time Marcus had seen a Zephyrian smile, and it was beautiful. She touched her forehead to his in what Echo explained was a family greeting. Now what? General Harrison asked. Echo answered by creating new light images. These showed human and Zephyrian ships working together, building defenses, sharing technology, standing united against the darkness coming from deep space. We stop fighting each other, Marcus said, and we start preparing for the real war. Commander Kestal spoke again. Echo translated. Kestal agrees. The Zephyrian Empire will share all information about the void touched, but they want proof that humans can be trusted. What kind of proof? Harrison asked. Veltara answered. Stop attacking Zephyrian refugee ships. Help them find safe places to live. Treat them as allies, not enemies. Marcus added, and we need joint training exercises. Our people learning to work together before the void touched arrive. General Harrison was quiet for a long time. Marcus could see him thinking, weighing options. Finally, he spoke. I'll need to talk to the civilian government, but given what we've learned here, I think we can arrange a ceasefire and refugee assistance. Commander Kessatel made a sound that Echo said meant agreement. There's one more thing, Marcus said. Echo will need special protection. If the child is going to help both our species, there will be people on both sides who want to stop that. Veltara nodded seriously. Many Zephyrians still hate humans. They will not understand Echo working with them. Same with humans, Harrison admitted. There are plenty who won't like making peace with aliens. Marcus looked at his new family. Echo sat between him and Veltara, small but brave. The child had already done so much to bring the two species together. Then we protect each other, Marcus said. All of us. That's what families do. Echo made a happy sound and hugged both Marcus and Veltara at the same time. Outside the station, Human and Zephyrian ships still patrolled in uneasy formation. The war was not over yet, but for the first time in 3 years there was hope. In 18 months the void-touched would arrive. But now, instead of fighting each other, two species would stand together, and at the center of it all, a small alien child and the human soldier who had chosen to save it were building something new. Not just peace between enemies, but a real family that crossed the boundaries of species and worlds. The mother's claim had been accepted. Now the real work could begin. The alarm woke Marcus from a deep sleep. Red lights flashed throughout the Joint Command Center on Earth's orbital defense platform. He sat up quickly, his heart pounding. Contact on long-range sensors, the communications officer announced. Multiple bogies, unknown configuration. Marcus was already reaching for his uniform when Echo appeared at his door. The child was taller now, almost as tall as a human teenager, but still had those same big, trusting eyes. "They're here," Echo said in perfect human speech. The void-touched came early. Marcus felt his blood turn cold. They had expected 18 months to prepare. It had only been 16. 2 months might not sound like much, but when preparing for the survival of two species, every day mattered. "How many ships?" Marcus asked as they hurried to the command center. "Echo cannot tell yet," the child replied, slipping back into the formal speech pattern it used when scared. But more than expected, the command center was chaos. Human and Zephyrian officers worked side by side at control stations. It had taken months to reach this level of cooperation, and Marcus felt proud seeing the two species working together. Veltara met them at the main display. Her face was grim. "Scouting reports confirm it," she said. 15 void-touched destroyer ships. 3 planet killers." Marcus stared at the tactical display. The enemy ships looked like dark metal insects, all sharp angles and predatory curves. They moved through space in perfect formation, heading straight for Earth. "What about the Zephyrian homeworlds?" Marcus asked. "Already gone," Veltara said quietly. "We received the last transmission 6 hours ago." Echo made a soft, sad sound. Marcus put his hand on the child's shoulder. Two species were now all that stood between the void-touched and total victory. General Harrison approached their group. His face looked older than Marcus remembered. The stress of the past year had aged him. "Sergeant Chen," Harrison said, "we have a problem." "Sir, some of my officers want to use the Zephyrian refugees as shields while we evacuate Earth's population. They think it will buy us time." Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. "That's wrong, sir. I know. But I'm not in charge anymore. Admiral Banks took command an hour ago and he's ordered the refugee ships to the front lines." Marcus looked at Veltara. She had understood the conversation, and her face showed pain and betrayal. "After everything we've worked for," she said, "humans still see us as expendable." Echo spoke up. "Not all humans. Marcus doesn't, Dr. Kovac doesn't, many others don't. But enough do," Veltara replied sadly. An officer approached their group. "Ma'am, Admiral Banks wants to see the alien child immediately." Marcus stepped protectively in front of Echo. "The child has a name." "Sir, Admiral's orders." Marcus looked at Veltara, then at Echo. His family. The people he had sworn to protect. The choice before him was clear but not easy. "Tell the Admiral that Echo is under my protection. If he wants to talk to my child, he can come here." The officer looked shocked. "Sir, you can't refuse a direct order from the Admiral. Watch me." After the officer left, Veltara touched Marcus's arm gently. "We should go," she said. "My people have ships. We can take Echo to safety." Marcus thought about it. It would be the smart choice. Take his family and run. Let the human leadership make their own mistakes. But then he looked around the command center. Human and Zephyrian officers working together. People who had learned to trust each other despite everything. If he left now, that trust would die. "No," Marcus said. "Running away won't save anyone. We need a third option." Echo's eyes lit up with understanding. "You have an idea." Marcus nodded. "Echo, can you still connect to the quantum communication network?" "Yes, both human and Zephyrian systems." "Good. Because I think there's something the void-touched don't expect." Marcus gathered the joint command staff around the main tactical display. Admiral Banks was there too, looking angry. "Sergeant," Banks said, "you're under arrest for disobeying orders." "Sir, with respect, arresting me won't help us win this battle. We don't need to win. We just need to buy time to evacuate. Marcus pointed at the tactical display. Sir, look at their formation. They're not just attacking randomly. They're hunting specific targets. Echo stepped forward. The Void Touched learned about both our species from the ships they destroyed. They know our weaknesses. What weaknesses? Admiral Banks asked reluctantly. Veltara answered. They expect us to fight separately. Human tactics against Zephyrian tactics. Easy to counter when you fight them one at a time. Marcus smiled. But what if we don't fight separately? He touched the display, showing a new battle formation. Human and Zephyrian ships mixed together in ways no one had ever tried before. Echo can coordinate communications between both fleets instantly. We use human firepower and Zephyrian speed together. Neither species fighting the way the Void Touched expect. Admiral Banks studied the formation. It's never been tested. Neither has sacrificing half our forces, Marcus replied. Echo spoke up. I can do it. But I need to stay connected to Marcus. That's how my abilities work best. Marcus looked at his child with pride. Echo had grown so much from the scared little being he had rescued. Now Echo was offering to help save both species. You don't have to do this, Marcus said gently. Yes, I do. This is my family now. Both species. I won't let them be destroyed. Veltara knelt down to Echo's level. Are you sure, little star? This will be dangerous, Echo nodded firmly. Mama, Marcus taught me that being brave means protecting the people you love. I love both humans and Zephyrians now. Marcus felt tears in his eyes. This child, this amazing child, had become everything he hoped for in a son or daughter. Admiral, Marcus said, give us a chance. Banks looked at the tactical display again, then at Echo, then at Marcus. One chance, he said finally. But if this doesn't work, you're responsible for billions of deaths. If it doesn't work, we'll all be dead anyway, Marcus replied. The battle began 2 hours later. Marcus stood in the command center with Echo and Veltara beside him. His family united in purpose. The Void-touched ships moved forward like hunting animals. But as they approached the combined human-Zephyrian fleet, something unexpected happened. Echo's hands glowed with soft light as the child connected to both communication networks at once. Suddenly, human and Zephyrian ships began moving as one organism. Human heavy cruisers provided covering fire, while Zephyrian fighters darted between enemy formations. Zephyrian shield technology protected human carriers, while human missiles struck targets Zephyrian sensors had identified. The Void-touched found themselves fighting an enemy they had never encountered before. Not humans or Zephyrians, but something new, something united. The battle was fierce. Ships from both species were lost, but slowly the combined fleet began to push the enemy back. It's working, Admiral Banks said, amazement in his voice. But the victory came at a cost. Echo was straining to maintain the connection between so many ships. The child's face was pale with effort. Echo, Marcus said, you need to rest. Can't stop. Echo replied weakly. If I stop, the coordination fails. Marcus made a decision that would define who he was. He put his hands on Echo's shoulders, sharing his strength the way he had learned Zephyrian parents did. We do this together, he said. All of us. Veltara joined them, adding her strength to theirs. Around the command center, other human and Zephyrian officers began connecting in the same way. Not technology, but something deeper, family bonds extending across species lines. The final Void-touched ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Silence filled the command center. Then slowly, cheers began to rise from both human and Zephyrian voices. Echo collapsed into Marcus's arms, exhausted but smiling. We did it, the child whispered. Yes, Marcus said, holding his child close. We all did it. Admiral Banks approached them. His face had changed. The anger was gone, replaced by something like wonder. Sergeant Chen, he said, I owe you an apology. All of us do. Marcus looked around the command center. Humans and Zephyrians were embracing, celebrating together. The barriers between species had not just fallen, they had been destroyed completely. No apologies needed, sir. We're all family now. Months later, Marcus stood on the observation deck of the new joint colony ship. Through the window, he could see Earth and the Zephyrian refugee fleet, moving together toward a new star system. Both species had decided to find a new home together. Echo ran up to him. Now fully grown and serving as the first ambassador between the united Human-Zephyrian alliance. Marcus, Echo said, the scout ships found a perfect system. 3 planets suitable for both our species. Marcus smiled. Both our species or all our species? Echo laughed. It was a sound that held both human and Zephyrian joy. All our species. We received messages from 6 other civilizations asking to join the Alliance. Everyone wants to be part of what we built. Veltara joined them at the window. She was older now, but still beautiful. Over the years, she and Marcus had become true partners in every sense. "What are you two talking about?" she asked. "The future," Marcus replied, putting his arms around both his wife and child. Outside the window, the stars waited. There would be new challenges ahead. Other enemies to face, other species to welcome into their growing family. But Marcus was not worried. They had learned the most important lesson of all. When faced with a choice between fear and love, between division and unity,